Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I make content on my prison experience from somebody who worked there, and I also have the perspective of somebody who was incarcerated as well, my ex-partner. I also have videos relating to my active fentanyl addiction and how I cope with that. And as you can tell by the title of this video, this is going to be one of those. So this is going to be about how I view myself as an active addict, how I feel about myself, and also a little bit of how I feel others view me as well. So like with anything, I have good days and I have bad days. I have days where I feel okay and I think, do you know what, I am going to get over this and I'm going to be so much stronger and I'm going to be such a better person. And in some ways I feel a little bit glad that I've gone through it, so I can experience what it's like and I can be much less judgmental for other people. But to be honest, those days are quite few and far between. They're not as often as I would like them to be. More often than not, I feel this kind of middle ground where I wouldn't say I feel depressed, but I feel down. And then I have the real depression where I feel just terrible. Now, quite often people who are addicts have mental health issues. That is very common. It's called a dual diagnosis, to have an addiction alongside a diagnosed mental health condition as well. But to be honest, I think most people who are addicts, there's a reason why they start either using a substance or they become addicted to the substance, whether it be the way it feels or whatever. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why their body either craves that or mentally they feel like they need that. And that is usually because of a mental health issue. My main ones that affect me are anxiety and depression. Now, in my previous video, I kind of spoke about how my anxiety causes my depression. So usually it's when my anxiety is high, so is my depression, because I'm so fed up of feeling anxious that it kind of puts me into a depression. And there are other factors as well that can make me feel worse, but generally that's how it goes. However, since becoming an addict, there's also other factors that come into that. Some days I look at myself as a literal piece of shit and I think I'm the worst person in the world because I am an addict. And then I sort of start spiraling and I find all the things that I dislike about myself, and I sit there and I think, you're a bad person because of this, and you don't deserve your partner, and you don't deserve your family, and you don't deserve all the nice things you have in life because you're an addict and you're a piece of shit. At no point do I view other addicts like that. It's just the way I view myself, and that's something that I am working on. Viewing myself how I view others. If I view another addict, I think, what a strong individual, they've come so far, especially if they've come out of it. I think that's amazing. And like I say, some days that motivates me to be like, yes, I'm going to do that. But other days I just look at myself as literally worthless and like I am the worst person in the world. And physically I look at myself a lot and think, who is going to find you attractive? Since being an addict, I've lost a lot of weight. I became very underweight at one point. I'm back kind of on the border of healthy weight now. I would still prefer to put a little bit more weight on. I would feel a lot more comfortable when I've got a little bit more curve going on. So I look at myself sometimes and think, who is going to find you attractive? How does your partner, who in my eyes, my partner is the most beautiful person in the world, how does he look at you and think that you're attractive? And it's one of those things that just spiral deeper, and it is so difficult to get out of that rut. It doesn't matter who is telling you what. He tells me all the time that he thinks I'm beautiful, but nothing can get me out of that when I'm in that rut. I just have to find something else. And quite often I just subject myself to, which a lot of people with depression do, just subject myself to feeling like shit. And then at some point a little bit of motivation will come out and I'll think, like, I need to stop this. I need to get out of this somehow. And I'll do a video on kind of how I deal with my depression and how I how I help myself, how I deal with the anxiety side of things. I'll do a kind of separate video on that. I would say that I feel very isolated as well, because so many people don't understand what it's like to be an addict. They might have seen family go through it, but they will never physically understand it. No one will physically understand what that feels like unless they have been through it. And even then, everybody's situation is so different. Everybody's story is so different. It's like everybody with diabetes doesn't have the same issues. Everybody with asthma doesn't struggle the same. Everybody with cancer hasn't struggled the same. And it's exactly the same. Not everybody who's an addict has struggled with the same things, or has felt this certain way, or struggled with this, or everybody is completely different. And so even when I watch, you know, videos online of other people, and it kind of temporarily helps, but I still feel really isolated. Family and friends, a lot of them don't get it. They don't get it. They don't think that I'm actually addicted, because they've not seen what my partner's seen, where I'm struggling, where I'm withdrawing. They've not seen that. They just think I'm fine and that I need it for my back pain. Yes, I do need it for my back pain, but I also need it because my body physically needs it and can't go on without it. And they don't get it. They don't understand that. And that's really difficult, because you talk to people and they'll kind of sympathise, but then just be like, well, just stop. If it affects you that badly, then just don't take it. And it doesn't matter how much you tell them, that's not how it works, unfortunately. They don't understand. And so I kind of don't really talk about it too much with family and friends, because I get frustrated, and I know it's not their fault. I know it's not their fault, and I know that it's not up to them to understand it. And they're trying to be supportive, they're trying to be the best that they can be, but they don't understand what I need, and what I want is to not feel so alone and so isolated. Like I said, my partner has seen me go through kind of withdrawals. He deals with so much. That's another reason why I feel I don't deserve him, is because he puts up with so much when I'm struggling with my pain, when I'm struggling because I'm withdrawing, when I just feel like shit. He just deals with it in the best way. And whilst he doesn't understand, he gets it enough to help me, even a little bit, so I just don't feel so alone. So yeah, he is amazing. But I think being isolated is a big thing for a lot of addicts, even if they're in a relationship with another addict or they live with another addict. Like I say, everyone's story is different, and a lot of people do really feel that isolation from being an addict, and that's one of the hardest bits about it, I would say. Something else kind of leading on from that is that I do feel like I'm a failure, especially compared to other people. Being somebody who suffers with anxiety really terribly, I'm always comparing myself to others and thinking I should be doing that in my life. I should have had kids by now. I should be married by now. I should have had a house way before now. I should have this kind of career by now. I look at people, especially my friends. I've got some really successful friends, and I think I should be doing that. And then I look at myself and I think, you are an addict. You are the worst of the worst. While they're off doing that, why are you not in the same position they're in? Why did you allow yourself to become an addict? And no one allows themselves. No one thinks one day, do you know what, I'm going to become an addict today. That's just not how it works. But in my head, when I'm in that depressed kind of anxious state and I'm really struggling, I just blame myself for everything. And that's something I'm really working on, because it's something I do in every kind of aspect of my life, and it's really unhealthy, and it's something that I need to really work on. Something I do a lot is think I shouldn't be here, I'm such a failure compared to everyone else. And again, I think that's quite common with addicts. They look at other people that are around them, and that only makes you use more. That only makes you, because you want to numb that feeling, all these feelings, all these negative feelings, you want to numb, you want to get rid of. So it's like, I'm going to numb it the only way I do, the only way I know how to. Whether it be taking something, whether it be drinking, whatever it be, that makes you temporarily feel better. And that's why addicts carry on using and carry on stumbling further and further into addiction, because it numbs that feeling, that horrible feeling. You can just numb it temporarily, and yet you'll feel 10 times more shit when you come out of it, but you can just take some more and it will numb it temporarily. And it's such a vicious circle. It is so incredibly difficult to get out of. Just it is awful. It's so hard, and anybody who's come out the other side is an absolute miracle. Like they're so strong, they're incredible, and I can only dream that one day I will get to that point. As I said before, some days I feel really, really motivated and I think, yep, I'm gonna come off it. I'm gonna, you know, be medication free or drug free, and it will be amazing. And on the flip side, that other days I sit there and think, I'm never coming off this. And again, that just makes me feel so much worse, so depressed. I think I'm stuck on this forever. And I start to resent my doctor because she put me on this without even knowing what medication it was. But anyway, I've done a video about that one. I start to resent her. I start to resent everybody, every doctor I've seen, every specialist I've seen that's just let me carry on with it, because all that's happened is I've become on a stronger dose and a stronger dose and a stronger dose and further into my addiction. And yes, partly, obviously, I am to blame. No one forced me to take it. No one forced it onto my skin. I did that to myself. But because it was prescribed to me and I took it, I feel like I had to take it and now I'm stuck. And again, it's a really unhealthy thing, but it's something addicts do a lot, is blame everyone else, because it's a lot easier than looking at yourself in the mirror and going, actually, it's my fault. I shouldn't have done that. Quite often, it's not fully your fault. As in my situation, it wasn't fully my fault. But again, no one was forcing me to do it. I did that to myself. I took it myself and I've carried on taking it. I could have gone to the doctor so many times. And right now, I keep saying, yeah, I'm going to make a doctor's appointment. And every day that comes and I think, not today. I'll do it tomorrow. And I've been doing it tomorrow for about 6 months now, because I'm not ready to come off of it. So again, that's something I need to take responsibility for and look at myself and go, that's down to you. Yes, they may have prescribed it, but it's down to you to come off of it, and you need to do more to help yourself. And that is the most difficult thing, because you have to take responsibility, and no one really likes taking responsibility. No one wants to, especially an addict, because you have to take responsibility for the way that your life has gone, and sometimes that is really, really tricky, because your life in certain aspects is a mess, and having to take responsibility for that is difficult. It's really, really difficult, and it's something I don't like doing. It's so much easier to blame everyone else, isn't it? It's so much easier. But I'm starting to now, which I think is the start of me looking at coming off of it. I'm starting to think, okay, it's not everyone else's fault. It's not the doctor's fault for prescribing it. It's not my ex-partner for being abusive. It's no one else's fault. I'm really addicted, fully addicted, and it's up to me to come off of it, and that's what I need to do. As difficult as that is, that's where I'm at, and that is really what I need to do. The main reason I need to do that is because I'm so desperate to have a child. I really cannot wait to have children. I'm so excited. Honestly, can't wait. It would make me so incredibly happy, but at the same time, I would feel like the worst person in the world bringing a child into this. If I fell pregnant, I honestly would not know what to do. Being at this point in my life, being an addict, being in active addiction, taking one of the strongest medications and drugs on the planet. Again, I've done a video talking about how I myself as an addict would deal with having a child, how that would go down. But I would feel like the worst person in the world if I had a baby during active addiction. On the flip side, as I spoke about in that video, there is also the side of, well, actually, if I came off it, I might not be able to carry it because of my back pain. There would also be the fact that through labour I would need medications, and who knows where that could end up. Being an addict, it's things spiral very, very quickly. So it's something, again, I desperately need to talk to my doctor about, but it's incredibly scary taking that first step. It's incredibly scary because this is my comfort zone. This is what I'm comfortable doing. It doesn't really matter to me what anyone else thinks. It does matter, but when I'm in that zone, it doesn't matter, and I couldn't care what anyone else thinks. I'm doing this. This is what makes me comfortable. This is where I feel happy to a degree. And I know how difficult that's going to be. And it's scary. It's incredibly scary. The whole being an addict, the whole of being an addict is terrifying. It's so scary because you don't know what is going to happen with your drugs. You don't know what drug you're going to get, what it's going to be mixed with, how your body's going to react to it that day. How, okay, last weekend, for example, I drank alcohol. I shouldn't drink alcohol on fentanyl. They are not renowned for mixing very well at all, but I know my kind of limits. I know that drinking is about 1 drink is the equivalent to about 3 ordinarily, because obviously it reacts with the medication and becomes a lot stronger. I don't know if I could have a drink tomorrow. When I go out tomorrow, it could kill me. That's how serious it is. There are days when I don't care about that. There are days when I genuinely think, okay, I don't want to die, but if it happens, because I'm sick of living my life constantly worrying about it. There are other days when I'm like, shit, that's really quite terrifying. And there's so much to contend with that's terrifying being an addict. You don't know when it's going to stop. You're in control, but you also don't know when it's going to stop. And that's how I feel at the moment. Like I'm just riding this wave and I've got no idea when it's going to stop. Although I am the one that could stop it, I also don't know if I can. You almost feel like your life is in someone else's hands. You don't know who that person is and which way it's going to turn. But that's how I feel like my life is in someone else's hands and somebody else will have to deal with it. And at some point I need to deal with it. But it's terrifying because you feel like somebody else is making the decisions for you. Like I said, it's not anybody else, it's you. But that's how you feel as an addict. You feel so out of control all the time. You feel like you can't make any decisions for yourself. Almost like a child. That's how I feel sometimes. I'm almost like a child, like I need people to make decisions for me. I'm not. I'm nearly 27 years old, but I feel like a kid and I feel like I need the people to make decisions for me because I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself to make decisions because look where trusting myself to make decisions has ended up as an addict, as somebody addicted to one of the most strongest medications on the planet. This is what this happened. So I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself to make the smallest of decisions because I feel like it's just all going to end up like this, like an absolute disaster. And it's quite sad, really. It's really quite sad that I feel this way about myself. I feel so negatively towards myself. But I'm hoping that when I do eventually come off the medication, come off of the drug, come off of fentanyl, I will feel so strong and so empowered and think I can actually do anything. And I will learn to trust myself. I will learn to think, actually, I can make good decisions. Look at what I did. Look at how strong I am. Because at the moment, I feel incredibly weak. I feel so weak. I feel like I just succumb to whatever happens because I'm not strong enough to fight it. And it's horrible feeling weak. But I keep a little bit of faith that it will get better and I will learn to feel a little bit more confidently about myself and, like I say, trust myself a little bit more. And hopefully that day won't be too far away from now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe if you're interested in this type of video or the prison videos that I mentioned earlier, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye bye.